friends, welcome back. So in today's video, I am going to be chatting about a handful of authors who I have read before. Not that many books, but I am eager to get more of their backlist under my belt. So if that's something that you are interested in, then let's dive right into it. Okay, so like I mentioned, these are going to be authors who I've read before, though not super extensively. Most of the authors on this list I've read maybe one book from. There might be a couple in here who I've read a handful of books from, but either way, I am nowhere near having completed their backlist, but the books that I have read from them have left such a lasting impression. I find myself talking about their books all the time, and I really just want to put this list out there to remind myself, because there's so many cozies, right? And new ones are always coming out that all of the backlist ones get further and further down on my list, when really I want to like crank them up higher on my TBR and try to prioritize them just a little bit. So of course a disclaimer, because I feel like I do this for all of my videos. This is nowhere near an extensive list, just a handful, maybe to give you some inspiration because you have either read them yourself and you need a reminder of how awesome they are, or maybe these are authors that you haven't heard about, and by me talking and gushing about them, it prompts you to add their books to your TBR. But regardless, let's dive right in. So the first author who I want to read more from is what is her name? Oh, Jasmine Webb. So I read only one book of hers so far, and coincidentally, it wasn't the book that has been on my TBR and on my Kindle as a sample forever. It was a completely different book that hooked me. That book that I did read is called Dead to Rights, and is the first book in the Mackenzie Owen mysteries, and I loved it so much. I'm not sure if it is the author's writing or the main character specifically that she created, but I absolutely love the amateur sleuth. It's a woman, I want to say she's kind of in her mid to late 20s, and she was just so sarcastic in the best kind of way. She was fleshed out to be this real person. Of course, she was a nice person, but at the same time, she wasn't saccharine whatsoever. She kept it real, she kept it straight, and I really appreciated that when it was kind of laid out for you in the story, because of the way that she went around and kind of did her own sleuthing, so to speak. So that was the first book in the series. There are other books within the series, but there are other books that the author has also written that I am eager and chomping at the bit to dive into, including the one that I had originally had on my TBR, which is called Aloha, Alibi. So based on the title, this clearly takes place in Hawaii, and if I am remembering the recap correctly, this particular series features a woman who is on the run, not on the run, but I want to say like the mob is after her, or maybe like, not necessarily the witness protection program, but basically she's forced to go to Hawaii, which is not where she's from, and basically live with her mom, who has been living in Hawaii. She's already got like this weird strained relationship with her mom, but in like a humorous way, because her mom is overprotective. So one of the big conflicts is her trying to get from under her mother's thumb, you know, setting her up, asking her when she's going to get a job, all of those typical overbearing mother things, while at the same time trying to keep a low profile because she's escaping or on the run from something that happened in the mainland. And naturally, since it is a murder mystery, she has to put her sleuthing hat on and uncover or get to the bottom of a murder. So there's a lot going on in that book. I did not lay it out as well as the book did, but when I tell you I'm so eager to start on this book and other books in the author's backlist, because I absolutely adored the first one. I was talking about it forever, and you would think, as with all of these, that I would have immediately kept reading from this author. That's my bad. I haven't. Again, so many cozies, so little time. Okay, so the next author on this list is Daryl Gerber. Now, I probably should have mentioned, though it may or may not be relevant, the author that I just talked about, she's an indie author. However, Daryl Gerber is a traditionally published author, and I read her book for the first time during our spring book club pick last year for my Teacups and Murder seasonal cozy mystery book club that I run with my friend Samantha. and it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a fun, whimsical, cozy mystery. The first book, pretty sure I enjoyed a lot, but it was really just the concept of the book that hooked me in. The covers are gorgeous, by the way, but the Fairy Garden series is so whimsical. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it. That alone was enough to really hook me and want me to continue the rest of the series. But Daryl Wood Gerber has a ton of other books in her backlist and a variety of other series. I believe I actually just got, do I have it here? It's out of reach. I actually just got an arc of one of her newest books coming up that I believe is set at a spa. But the one that actually hooked me, that again, it's on my TBR and I have the sample sitting on my Kindle, is the first book in her Cookbook Nook series, which, oh my gosh, it sounded so good. I've read like the first 2 chapters because I'm pretty sure that's how much they give you when you have a sample. But I am such a sucker for foodie cozies and also bookish cozies. So if it is a series spotlighting cookbooks, that is literally the combination of those 2 things, which is fantastic. So I'll be honest, I don't know much about the series aside from that. I believe the Sleuth, if I had to venture a guess of my memory, runs a cookbook store or a bookstore specializing in cookbooks. Don't take my word for that. But regardless, the cover is gorgeous, and I'm really excited to dive into her books because she not only has a bunch of series, but the series tend to be pretty varied. I mean, you've got a fairy garden, you've got a spa, you've got this cookbook shop, and those I'm pretty sure aren't even all of the series that she has. So a lot to choose from. If you've never heard of her, I definitely suggest checking her books out because you're sure to like at least one of the series because they are so different. Okay, so this next author is another indie author, and if you listen to our podcast, Curl Up and Clue In, which, side note, I'm going to do a little plug. We do have a cozy mystery podcast called Curl Up and Clue In, and by we, I mean my friend Courtney and I, but anyway, in our most recent episode where we were kind of touching on all of the things that we've been up to and what we're reading, I talked about this book, and it's called Kittyzen's Arrest. It is the first book in the Country Cottage Mystery series. Like I said, it's by Addison Moore and another author called Bellamy Bloom, but for the sake of this one, I want to talk about Addison's work. Already from the jump, I was hooked to this. It is so funny, fast-paced, I suppose. Even though I didn't get to the murder part, I remember thinking when I first started that it really started going quickly and picked you up, and I really enjoyed that. As much as I love cozies, I also love being sucked in immediately and just taken along for the ride, and that's exactly what the author has done. I think that she has a really fun voice that is different from a lot of traditionally published cozies. Now, I don't know if that's just her voice in particular or if it's the fact that she is an indie author that kind of lends itself to this unique voice that allows you to be a bit more in control of how you want to write your characters. But regardless, love it. She's got a ton of books. I know for sure she's got 2 series, the one that I talked about, and then there's the Murder in the Mix one, which is kind of like a foodie cozy. Both of these have at least 30 to 50 books in the series. Yeah, 30 to 50, and that is a lot. So I've got some work cut out for me, I can't even lie. But I will say, like I said, her voice is really unique, and when I started reading the sample of one of the other books, I don't know if it was one of the Murder in the Mix or a third series, but that voice that she has, that unique voice, continues to be carried throughout. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where she takes her other characters. Okay, so speaking of indie, I want to kind of continue that trend because I remember comparing Addison's book covers to another book cover of this author that I'm about to talk about, which is Nancy Warren. Both of them are indie, both of them are super prolific, and both of them are super popular. I actually read one of Nancy's books, which was the first club in the Vampire Knitting Club series, again for book club. I believe this was our fall pick either last year or the year before, but I remember everybody really enjoying it. It is very quintessential cozy. As the title suggests, it does, I don't want to say, it features a vampire knitting club. I'm not spoiling anything by giving that away, but the premise and the way that the first book was set up I thought was really unique. It's not your typical like paranormal cozy. Obviously they're vampires, so it is paranormal, but it goes beyond that. And coincidentally, because this book left such an impact on me, one of our first episodes of the podcast, we actually talked about kind of our dream casting, or how we saw the cast of characters specifically for the Vampire Knitting Club. So that's really fun. If you have read the book and you want to listen to the episode, I totally suggest you go back and listen. Or, you know, maybe you can listen to the podcast first, get an image of who you think the characters sound like to us, and then read the books. But this is a super popular series as well. She also has another series out, which coincidentally I will be reading the first one of, so I'm already kind of checking that off the list. But our upcoming Teacups and Murder spring cozy pick for this year, which actually is coming up in a couple of weeks, is the first book in her I don't think this is the name of the series, but the first book is called The Great Witch's Baking Show, which I'm super excited about. I'm already almost halfway done with it, but it's also a blend up, right? So you've got the paranormal cozy theme because of the witches and other paranormal elements, and then you've also got baking. And as a person who is a huge fan of the Great British Baking Show, or the Great British Bake Off, this certainly appealed to me ages ago, even before we even were thinking about having it for book club. So when spring came around and we had to think of something, I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity to do this. And so this series, as well as a vampire one, and I believe she's got some other ones, again, she's prolific, so there are a lot of books in the series, which is perfect if you love to binge cozies. Like, she's one of the authors where you can guarantee having 20, 30 books in the series to stay in the world if you choose to do so. I believe she's also got a series featuring a flower shop, which is absolutely charming. She is an English writer, or she's English, obviously. And so her stories take place in the UK. So again, if you also want a bit of armchair travel, or you're an Anglophile, then I would highly suggest checking her books out. All right, so this is a perfect segue because I'm going to switch gears and talk about another Nancy, this time Nancy Coco. So Nancy Coco is a traditionally published author, and I first read her book, I want to say last year, and it was the first book in her Oregon Honeycomb series. Of course, I'm drawing a blank on the title, but I will go ahead and put an image of it on the screen. But I remember reading it thinking like, wow, the author did a really good job making me interested in something I would otherwise, I don't want to say never be interested in, but like I found myself Googling and going down the rabbit hole of this because I never thought about it. And again, as you can tell by the name of the series, the theme or the microtrope or whatever that it focuses on is honey and bees and all of that, which again, very interesting and very unique, because while our amateur sleuth does own her own shop, it's not a typical like bakery or bookstore. Nothing wrong with those. We love both of those. But again, if you're wanting something different than this series, I would definitely recommend checking out. She does a really good job kind of interspersing facts and fun tidbits and advice, which those are things that we also love in cozies, right? Because you learn a little bit about the genre or the subgenre that you're reading about, while you're also trying to solve a mystery, basically. So her books were fun because you get some tips about like how honey can be used, and like learn about beehives, and again, things that otherwise I would never even think about, apiary type stuff. I now am like, hey, that's really interesting, and we have to save our bees, though everybody knows that. I don't feel like you need to read a cozy to be up on that, but regardless. In addition to this series though, the one that I want to read following up with this bee one is her Candy Coated Mysteries, which, I mean, candy, right? I feel like enough said. But it also sounds really adorable and charming. And coincidentally, I don't think I've ever read a candy themed cozy series, even though I know a ton of them exist. So I really need to get on that. Oh my goodness. So this one I had to go back into the archives because it has been years, if I'm being honest, since I have read from this author. And her name is Julia Buckley. So I read the first book, maybe the first two books in her Writer's Apprentice series. Again, ages ago, ages when it first came out. And I remember loving it. It was so good, you guys. It really, so let me put it this way. If you're a fan of Mary Higgins Clark, you know, the very also prolific mystery writer, not cozy mystery, but just mystery writer, I highly recommend this series because I really got those vibes when I read the first book in the series. Essentially, it is about a woman who signs up to be a writer's assistant, and this writer is like a very prolific, I think she might be a mystery writer if I'm being honest. And it's like kind of a very gothic house, and the woman, because she is like a hermit, she's unknown, and she's got these like two Dobermans, and the author is just, or the amateur sleuth is just kind of happy to have a job, but like as things progress, she starts to become closer to the lady, and then the two of them team up to solve a murder. And the way that it ends, so I won't spoil anything, even though it kind of picks up and it's revealed in the second book, but the way that it ends is so it hooks you. It hooks you so much to where you want to read the second one. So much so obviously that I did go on to read the second one, even though I'm pretty sure I had to wait a full year for that. But anyway, like I mentioned, have read her books ages ago, and when I was looking through my Goodreads, I'm like, oh my god, I love this series. So first of all, I really want to finish that series. Second of all, I want to read one of the books from her other series, which coincidentally, when I went to go look at what they were, I had already had one of them saved on my TBR. So like, past me knew what she was doing. But the book series that I also want to read of hers is the Hungarian Tea House. So first of all, the cover is so beautiful. I remember looking at this and thinking like, wow, this is just a stunning cover in general, cozy or not. But I love me a tea house, and this one has its own unique spin on things. And I believe one of my cozy friends read this book or posted about it or something, which really caught my attention. So it's already getting a thumbs up from people whose reviews that I trust. I just need to hop on the ball and actually read the book. Okay, so this last author is definitely a last but not least, and that is Tara Lush. I had the opportunity, I'm just gonna brag for a moment, but I had the opportunity to meet Tara in Ashland last year, and she is amazing. She is an amazing human being. She's so funny. She's so smart. And I absolutely adore her. And so that's not the reason why I need to read more of her books, though obviously it goes without saying, but like, her writing is just so engaging. So the series of hers that I am familiar with is her Critters and Criminals series, even though I believe there's only maybe one book and a novella. I could be mistaken, but there's only one that I know of. And our amateur sleuth, get this, she traps gators, which, I mean, talk about unique jobs. And it's set in Florida, and it's so funny. Like, this is another one whose voice really stands out, the author, I mean. And so that's reason number one why I really want to just gobble up everything that she has written. She's got two other series that I know of, maybe three. Maybe it's like, the other one that I'm thinking of, which would make it 3.5, is a spinoff. Anyway, so the Critters and Criminals ones is the one that I know about, the Gator Trapper. Then we've got her Coffee Lovers series featuring a sleuth who owns a coffee shop. And then we've got the third one, which, what is the name of it? Her Crescent Moon Mystery series. And so this one features a sleuth who is older. I believe she's in like her 40s, which the reason that I bring that up and is relevant is because the way that Tara markets this book is very like midlife crisis, witch with a midlife crisis, that kind of thing. So you're definitely getting a lot of hijinks, and it's also refreshing to see how sleuths of different ages go about solving crimes and investigating and stuff like that. And then there's a humor added with that as well. Paranormal, everything you can think of under the sun. Tara has done it all, and she is both technically an indie author and a traditionally published author, so you're getting the best of both worlds with her books. But yeah, I totally need to hop on it. I have the first book. I'm pretty sure I've read the novella that you get when you sign up for her newsletter. That's free as well. But yeah, she's amazing. Her books are amazing, and I don't know what I'm waiting for other than like maybe 2 weeks of uninterrupted reading time to get through all of these. But yeah, so those are just a handful of authors who I have read and loved, and I want to continue reading more from them. Try to prioritize reading more backlist cozies, but you guys get it, right? Like, it's so hard when all of the new and shiny stuff comes out, and it's so fun to get excited and hyped for what's to come, which is great. But at the same time, we can only get through some of them, and then they quickly become backlist items, and then we forget about them, and we're stuck in this perpetual cycle of always just looking at the dangling carrot in front of us. So this is my manifesto, essentially, to try and like rein it in a little bit and juggle my time a little bit better between new cozies and old cozies, especially these authors and their backlists. So that will do it. Let me know if you have read any of these books on the list. If you have, what did you think about them? What are some of your own authors whose books that you've read and you love, but you want to read more from them? Let's definitely chat in the comments. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, happy reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!